we're gonna bring on Pradeep Mistry and Prati Shah, and I'm gonna have them tell us a little bit about your background. And Pradeep, you're hard to recognize tonight. What is different about you?
I'm celebrating Halloween early.
Oh, okay, very good. So normally there's not much up on top, right? Usually there's not. So you are celebrating Halloween. So if I didn't know that, I wouldn't have recognized you. So jump in. Tell us briefly both a little about both of you guys.
Yeah. Okay, let me take off all this. It's hot.
Now I recognize you.
I'm not used to that. I just thought I'll have some fun. So let me introduce myself. My name is Pradeep Mistry. I'm going to give you a background. I was an engineer for about 30 years. I worked at AT&T Bell Labs, and then after that at Dell, and then I retired in 2011. I managed design and system level teams, and was successful at what I was doing, but I didn't like it because there was always this thing: when am I going to get laid off? So anyhow. That's what I did for a long time. I enjoyed it, and it was a good career. Taught me a lot of things that otherwise I wouldn't have learned, and I apply to my current career. I call it a career, but I love it. Managing apartment complexes. So what I learned as an engineer has paid off and has come to fruition. And I do project management. I have to do people management, budget analysis, contracts, and negotiations. So anyhow, that's
one of the things that's made Pradeep so good as a lead investor is budget analysis. Every time I meet with Pradeep, boy, we go deep into those numbers. I mean, he's watching those real close, and that's been a big success for you guys.
It's yes, but sometimes I get beside myself, and I think too much.
Get into details of numbers too much.
Prati, how about you? Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm a retired physician. I retired from Austin, VA. I worked there for about 14 years, and about 17 years I worked in New York City. I came here once I married him. I was introduced to lifestyle by one of my colleagues, and that changed our life totally. I think about 2 or 3 years after we got introduced to lifestyle, after we joined lifestyle, I was able to retire in about less than 5 years. Yes. So lifestyle changed my life, and I don't miss my work anymore. I loved what I did before. I was a physician at the VA clinic. I did my geriatric psychiatry, and I was also assistant professor at the Department of Psychiatry in Texas A&M. Both those works were great, but this is amazing. And right now I help him with people management, and I'm good at that.
And she analyzes all our residents before they come in.
Oh, I'm sure she does. Well, let's go to the next slide and talk about what brought you to Lifestyles Unlimited.
Okay.
David?
Yeah. So again, like I said before, I wanted out of the rat race of corporate world. It's like every year there would be layoffs, and then you would be wondering, whether you're going to be layoffs. The internal politics was very severe, and you always had to kind of fight for your job. And at the end of the year, you'd get a 2% or 3% raise. And
yay!
And that was one of the reasons I wanted out really badly. I wanted to retire on our own terms. And then we had money in the stock market, and it would go up and down. In 2008, it went down, and our 401ks became just like David's. Uh, they became 201s or whatever it was they used to call it at that time. And then also we wanted to buy our time back, because when we were working, when I was working, I would be working 24/7 over there. I'd have conference calls at night with Taiwan and China, and we'd be working all the time. And so that was one of the things. And then the other thing that I kind of wanted is we had saved up money, but it was making 2 or 3%. And we were not really happy, because we wanted income coming in, and we wanted our money to work for us, and we wanted multiple streams of income. So when we were introduced to lifestyles, that really fit the bill. I saw that they had great education, and then there were other people who thought just like us and were seeking what we wanted.
Isn't it nice now that you're not working 24/7, have conference calls at 9 o'clock at night? You can go to your properties when you want, and you're making significantly nice returns, and we'll get to see that in just a few moments. So you joined in 2011. You came on right at the same time I did. We weren't in the same two-day class together, but we joined at the same time.
Yeah, I remember, well, you weren't there, but going to David's class and then him taking us out to lunch at Chacho's, and that was a horrible restaurant. And I told him that. So he always remembers that.
That was the worst. Hey, they were cute. They were
about Chacho's.
the reason that we went there. Well, the reason we went there is because David was very frugal, and that was just.
Oh, he had the T-Rex arms.
Yeah. So one thing I want to say before we move on to the next slide, you've purchased 5 properties. We're going to talk about a few of them before we get to your main property tonight. But what I also find interesting, and what I want our members to see, many of our lead investors, those that are putting the deals together, which you'll see from Pradeep and Patri tonight, is both of them have actually, not only have they done 5 properties, they have taken advantage and invested in other members' properties. So in other words, they like that mailbox money. They like that they can just go to their mailbox or get a wire and says, oh, look, here's my 8, 10, 12% return I made for the quarter, or whatever it is. Prati, dear, could you go deposit this check for me? So it's a different way. So both of them have a blended strategy today, both being lead investors as well as passively investing in others. So we go to the next.
Okay. All right. So I'll
what
talk
I'd
about
like to
this.
do here is what you're going to do before we get to the main event is you're going to share kind of what kind of returns you delivered leading up to the main event. I remember when you bought Landmark Apartments. We both had 24 units at the same time.
Yes, exactly. And it was a unique apartment complex, and we cut our teeth on this little property. The first year I drove from Austin to Seguin almost every day of the year. And it was an interesting and a very good experience as our starter property. It was 24 units built in 1969. We purchased it in 2013 for 1.135 million. That was about 47,000 a door. And the cash out of pocket that we had was 284,000, which was, very modest as far as I was concerned. And the initial financing, we got a conventional loan for $850,000 at 4%. And then we sold that little property in 2016 for 3.45 million. So I don't think that's right. I'm sorry, that's a typo. Yeah, for about 1.7 million. But anyhow, the return on our investment was 163%.
Yeah, the thing we want to point out is they bought the property 2013, held it for 3 years, and had 163% return. Not 3 years. That beats 2 and 3%, doesn't it, Pradeep?
Yes.
Absolutely. So you went on and and let's look at his next, the next property that was acquired.
Hold on 1 second before I go on. This
Yes.
is what happens for all the people out there listening. This is the most excited Pradeep ever gets. Because I work a lot with engineers and accountants. We made 163% return. Let's move on. Folks out there, you're making 3 and 4%. And just so you know, that's the most excited Pradeep ever gets. So
No,
that's
I-
engineer excitement.
Well, the reason is you'll see some of these returns get better. I mean, today's not
I
happening.
know, but I'm just saying, it's like
Yeah.
people out there can't even imagine that. And then as they get to better returns, he might like raise his head a little bit if he gets too excited. We'll see.
I remember that. That was a great property. It really
was.
was.
Now,
And then you went on to, you got closer to home up in Round Rock then, so you didn't have to go back and forth to Seguin.
I was still doing
Just so
that.
you know,
but
Round
then-
Rock's north of Austin area.
Yeah.
So, yes, so this was a nice little property, 32 units. It was mainly, I thought at that time, a yield play, and just showed my inexperience in this business. But anyhow, we purchased it at $70,000 a door, which was outrageous at that time. Everybody thought that we were crazy, but the numbers worked out. The cash out of pocket was 555,000, and we had a Fannie Mae non-recourse loan for 1.8 million at.
Really quick, Pradeep, I want to cut you off for 1 second. Because your last deal was like 300 some thousand out of pocket. This is 500,000 out of pocket. There's people watching that have 50 or 75 to invest. They go, why are you showing me this thing at $500,000? I don't have $500,000.
Yeah.
Doug, would you share with them what a passive investor is, just so they know before we move on?
Yeah. One of the things I want to point out, when you see this cash out of pocket of $555,000, that's just not Pradeep. That's just not another investor. How many people did you have in this deal? How many?
We had about 15, 14.
15.
Yeah.
Okay. So think about that. That's that $555,000 is spread out amongst 14 or 15 investors. It's just not one or two people that come up with $250,000. And they don't have to do anything. They don't have to come down there. They don't have to work at the property. They don't have to do anything, do they?
No, they don't. All they had to have is go to the mailbox and get their money every quarter.
That's absolutely. And oh, golly, 237%. I get excited over that. I'd be happy with that deal. Of course I would.
It was an excellent deal. It was an excellent deal, and it was a beautiful property. And my partners were really happy to make that money. So
That's right. And one thing I want to tell that our audience is we don't go by the purchase price. We're out buying properties at $22K a door. Matter of fact, that property that I bought at $22K a door is now being sold by 2 or 3 turns for $62 a door. All right. The next one I bought was for $38 a door. The next one I bought was $42 a door. The next one I bought was $55 a door. They all make money, or they all have rate of return. So you got to look at it and analyze it based on the underwriting that we do. So go ahead, Pradeep. We're
Let me cover that a little bit deeper, because we have a lot of members listening that were members for a long time, and we have new people. The old way people used to teach this was price per door. I do not teach that way. Here's what I want to tell you. So as you learn and as you grow as a person, just like Pradeep paying 70 something a door sounded insane to people around him that were members from 2 years earlier. Stop looking at price per door. look at ROI. That's all that matters. Return on investment. Don't go by price per door. Go by ROI. Okay, Jack, go ahead.
Okay, this one is a gem of a property. I love this little property, and I love the location. That means it's in Bastrop. It's about 30 miles, 35 miles east of Austin. Austin is growing towards Bastrop. It's a nice property in a quiet place. And it's 56 units built in 1986. Majority of the apartments are 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and then we have 8 1-bedroom, 1-bath. All of them are large units. It's a nice, clean property. So the way we came across this is we were buying another property in Bastrop, and we were doing a market survey, and we found this property. Nobody was there, so we contacted the owners, and they sold it to us. So, and it was a great, we were so lucky to get this property. We
And
purchased
I
it.
want folks to remember what you just said, because when I teach you this weekend about market surveys, I'm going to bring up Pradeep's story. And I want you to remember this because you heard it now in the case study, and I'll show you the reality of that, because Pradeep learned how to do a market survey correctly. That's how he's able to find this deal was never even on the market. And I'll explain that on Sunday, just so you know.
Okay, so I'm not going to mention it was about $60,000 per door. We paid, I think it was 3.25 million, and for the property, the cash out of pocket was about $1 million.
How many investors did you have in the deal on this one?
On this, we have 19 investors.
There you go.
Right. And then the initial financing was, we got a Freddie Mac loan at 4.67%. And it was $2.67 million. And then in 2019, late 2019, we refinanced that property, and we got fantastic terms, and we refinanced. The new rate loan amount was 4.2 million at 4.1%, and we were able to get 9 years of interest only. Again, David will teach you about all this stuff in the 2-day. And we spent about $250,000 in capital repairs.
So here's the thing. Here's what I'd like to point out with this slide. David will talk about refinancing, but unlike single family, multifamily properties their valuations offer net operating income. And in this case, with the initial financing, they were able to grow their operating capital or operating income substantially, which allowed them to go borrow more money and take a lot of the proceeds from borrowing that more and giving it back to their passive investors. David will teach more on that this weekend.
Okay, so, and then let me move on. Our average occupancy for the 4 years that we've had this property has been 96%, which is a fantastic, occupancy, in my opinion. The income that we had for the last year was $667,000, and the expenses for the last year was $291,000, and the net operating income, again, all these things will be taught by David in the weekend, in his seminar during this weekend, and the NOI was $375,000. Average cash on cash for the investors, my passive investors, was 28.3% per year.
That's it?
And yeah, that's it. And this is including some refinance proceeds. And so all the investors got 100% of the contributions back.
Let me,
So
let me
now-
stop right
Guys,
there.
you see it?
Let me stop right there. Think about this for a moment. If you invested $100,000, you've already got your $100,000 back. All right, in the form of a distribution. You still own the property. You've already got $100,000 back. You own the property, and you still cash flow every month, even though you've received that $100,000 back. Who would like to be in that position to know that the property value continues to grow by the net operating income at some point when you sell, and there's equity capture on the backside? That's
And not only that, how much taxes are they paying on that cash flow, guys?
well, because of the K1s and cost segregation and appreciated depreciation, the answer should be none.
You like that? There's a technical term for that. Do you know what it is, Pradeep?
No.
I forgot.
You don't
I
know,
forgot.
Pradeep? I just want to hear
Something
if
about
the guy knows it. Do you know?
Yeah, pee in your pants.
Thank you. I just want to hear that. See, that was the most excited I've seen Pradeep ever. That's pretty good.
All right,
Those
let's,
engineers jump up and down all the time.
okay.
Let's show some pictures.
Okay, so a few pictures. I don't have, I'm sorry, I didn't put any before and after. I'm just going to show you the after. So let me go very quickly. What we did is replace all the flooring. You can see this is a new vinyl plank flooring. We replaced the light fixtures in the apartment. We replaced the plumbing fixtures. We replaced the appliances if needed. And then we just kind of polish the cabinets. We resurface the countertops and, just do preventive maintenance, and that's it, really. We kind of want the place to look nice, clean, and modern.
There you
And
go.
that's what we try to do.
And provide good
This
service.
property is in Bastrop, Texas. You don't need to have stainless steel refrigerators. You don't need to have, granite countertops. You don't overinvest. You have to know who your consumer is, who your resident is, and tailor your unit turns and your rehabs to accommodate them.
That's
Now,
right.
About A-class properties and a high-end part of Houston, it would be different. But no. Is that the only picture we had? You were.
Yeah, that's it. He didn't put a lot.
Okay, no worries. Okay. I did, but
Numbers tell the story.
I know. So let me now talk about the financials, and this is something. These are real numbers. These are not fake. This is what we have in reality. So
Here's what I want to point out, just for our audience out there. The most important, two important numbers is look at the NOI growth from year 1 to year 4. In a moment, when we look at the next slide, you're going to see what that means in terms of the overall rate of return. But as you're going through year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4, all double-digit returns. Those are fantastic returns. Those are great. Those are tax-free. You get K1s at the end of the year showing you it had losses. Fantastic. So let's. What I really like talking about is the next slide that really tells the whole story.
sure.
And folks, just so you know, whenever I have an engineer do it, he has it to the dollar. He doesn't round things. It's to the dollar. He probably wanted to put the cents in, but Doug had to stop him.
Yeah, take it out 3 decimal points. So
Yeah, that's true.
just kidding, Pradeep.
No worries.
We're all
Can I
friends.
explain
That's
this
why we
one?
can joke around like this. So
Let me explain this one if I can, because I want to give Pradeep and Prati all the credit to what the value of this property is. When they bought this, the NOI was $193,000. Since they've taken it to $375,000, the property value today is over $6.3 million. Now follow me a moment. He has to pay back the debt. In other words, the principal that he owes. He has to pay that amount back of $3.1 million. That leaves $3.2 million to distribute. There's better news. 4 years of cash flow of over $750,000. Oh, what about the refinance proceeds that they got of close to $1 million in 2019? That's 3.9 million, close to $4 million, which is over a 375% return over that original investment. So in other words, if you're a $100,000 investor, you're going to get that back plus another $290,000 over 4 years. Pretty good story to me. Pradeep, don't you agree?
I agree. And I kind of, yes, I thought I had made a mistake on the principal and prepayment, but when I looked at it, that is the right number.
And just so you know, folks, I'll explain what a prepayment penalty is this weekend. I'll explain that to you guys. But I mean, think about it. Are you making these type of returns? Even the most conservative engineer that I know, look how excited he is when he makes 300% return for not just his family, but all these other investors that are in the deal. They made the same type of returns. So it's pretty awesome.
And the other thing to remember, David, as you well know, this is passive money. Everybody are doing all the work. You as passive investors invest the money, you participate in these returns. Simple as that. And the other thing is, right now, they got all their money back and still making cash on cash returns. So great story, both of you. Really appreciate that.
Sure. I'd be happy to answer any questions because that's.
Well, we will do that here in a few
Hold
moments.
on there, Pradeep. You're jumping ahead. Now you're getting too excited. Calm down.
He's
All right.
excited about this.
Okay.
All right.
Oh yeah, I got to do all this.
Just give me an overview of this, Pradeep. You don't have to read everything.
Yeah, you don't have to read it, but just talk about some of the things that you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess, well, first things first, we learn from lifestyles as to how to do these things, and what exactly to do. We want to offer the lifestyle. We follow the lifestyle teachings, offer the best product and the best price based on what the market can afford. I don't want to build a Taj Mahal in a neighborhood that has low-income housing, for example, or middle-class housing. I don't want to build a Taj Mahal, and then we want to fix everything. And I am a true believer in this life. That is one of the main things that keeps me going and makes me want to offer the best product to our residents.
Let me summarize. Let me summarize what I see here, and what's really important is, and Pradeep is very good about. You have to have the good staff. He's good about interviewing. He's good about having the good staff. It's all about tenant retention, and when you have happy residents, they stay with you. It minimizes your turnover. Your net operating income increases. You're increasing rents. All of that. Good communication, good staffing equals good tenant retention. And you've been able to take what you've learned and apply it to what we see here.
Yes. And again, the added value I already spoke about, we upgrade the interiors and the floors, appliances, lighting, plumbing fixtures, etc.
The main thing is the maintenance.
And then I am a stickler for providing excellent maintenance service, because these are older buildings, things break, and when they break, we want to be making sure that we provide the proper service and on time, and just that makes a big difference in resident retention, as well as just you're able to raise your prices and you have a good reputation on Google. Right?
Yeah.
So go ahead. In general, we follow all the lifestyle things. We have a stricter leasing and background checks and things like that. All the little things that make a big difference in what kind of residents you get. Okay. Lifestyle has changed our lives. Both of us retired in 5 years. Uh, we haven't traveled recently, but we have traveled to all over the world with friends from lifestyles and outside lifestyles. And, we have functions with lifestyles people. All of friends are fellow lifestyles people who are doing the same thing. And we want to be with like-minded people.
Yeah,
And
so we all have new friends now. All the people we run with today are lifestyles people. We all go to Chachi's for breakfast and eat breakfast time. Right? It's so cheap. Okay.
Pradeep, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So, and share this if you want. You don't have to because it's a little bit personal. I'm on open book with all my numbers and everything the way I teach, but you're just a member. You don't have to share this if you don't want to, but I think it's powerful for other people that were in your situation when you joined. You had a nice six-figure income and all that, both you and your wife. I get a lot of professionals come to my seminar. From the time you joined till now, how much has your net worth went up? 20%, 50%, 100%? Would you mind sharing? I'm not saying the exact numbers, but just percentage-wise, from what you joined to your total net worth now, so they get an idea how powerful this is with being in
It has increased 7 times what your net worth in all these
Okay,
years.
so 700%. And folks out there listening, I want you, because it's relative to whatever amount you have. If you have 50K, it would have turned into 350K. If you have $500,000, just 7 times whatever. If you have 100K, 700K. If you have $1 million, it'd be 7 million. So it's relative. Is that not life-changing? 7 times what you started.
Oh, yes, in a short time.
Yes, and
Excited too now.
it's incredible how your life changes, and we don't worry about money anymore. That's the last thing we worry about. It's all the fun. We try to have fun as much as we can.
Yeah, it's neat for me because I see pictures on Facebook and it'll be a whole group of you going to a vacation together in Mexico or something. It's kind of neat how we all became friends over time. It's kind of neat.
That's true.
Yeah, because I saw a picture of you with Bob DeLong and with Terry Matheny, and you're all going to games together. It's neat how we made a lot of friends and we all travel and hang out. It's kind of cool. We all grew up together at Lifestyles.
And you know what? It changed. Personally, it's given me this confidence, and I'm doing things without fear. I can make decisions, and I know that it's okay if you're wrong sometimes, but making that decision without any kind of fear, because you know that you can always fix things.
And you can count on you guys.
Yeah, of course. And I always have lean on everybody in lifestyles and all our leads and even some passives. I just talk to them, and we are a family. I share a lot of my information with other leads and even passives.
Yep.
I'm very transparent as far as that goes.
Yeah, that's really important. That not only the education and mentorship, but the camaraderie among members. Because as investors, we talk amongst each other. We have lead investor meetings where we brainstorm, we share ideas. Do you think that a property next door to me, that I can go to them and ask them what they pay their maintenance guy? Can I ask them, how much they invest in capital improvements each year? Can I ask all those questions? What do you think they do? They wouldn't give it to me that information, but I can go to Pradeep. I can go to any other investor within Lifestyles Unlimited, and we're open book. We share our P&Ls with each other. And the reason that we do that is we want to learn from each other's experience. And that's what you get, the camaraderie, not only the mentorship from me and all the other mentors, but we learn from each other on circumstances that we may face and how we improve and how we work on things. So it's great.
And now that Pradeep and his wife are over fear, me and my wife and you two are going to go skydiving next week, correct?
Yes, yes, I would love to. We went cliff diving in Peru.
In Peru.
Yes.
Wow, okay. I was joking. I wouldn't do that. That's awesome.
Well,
Good for
I
you.
did. We did.
We did the cliff, yeah. That was
And
good.
you went.
Exciting.
Yes.
Cool. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And you're a finalist for an award as well. That's pretty awesome, right?
Yes, yes.
Yep. Okay, let's talk
And,
about,
yeah,
unless
go
you
ahead.
want to say something, but I want to talk about your goals next. Is that cool?
Yeah.
So what are your
Okay.
goals? Give
Oh,
us your,
Well, our short-term goals were to purchase bigger properties, and which we have, and then continue. Really, I don't want to be buying more properties. We buy properties at a slower pace, one every 2 years.
okay.
That's that's what we do. But we have very strategic passive investments, and we definitely want to give back to lifestyles, family, and participate in events like this. Long-term goals, we want financial freedom, travel when we can, and of course, be with our friends and families. So just a goal that everybody's, most people want in life. We just want to be able to, just enjoy life and try to live stress-free as much as possible.
and we already purchased a big property.
Yeah. So my
So let me
wife has already
clarify
purchased a big property.
let me clarify financial freedom for long term. You're already there. Both of you are there. What I think is more financial freedom through more.
We're good now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But
And when I see that picture, I assume that's your investors, correct?
that is our investor friends
Investors and friends.
and
And
friends.
I remember every single one of them coming to my seminar. It's kind of neat to see them all grow because like I see the Fullers and the Crosses and I see Craig's up there and I see Steve Rose and all
Dusty
these
and Steve
people
and Ida
all
and yeah.
changing lives. It's kind of cool to see you all grow together. You
And
brought them.
95% of those people are our investors.
Yeah. Yep. Bunch of Austin people. You must like Austin people. They're weird.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you a hard time. All right.
This is at the Dusty Barbecue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife went to a couple of those. Okay.
Yeah.
So who's on your team, guys?
Okay. I want to thank our mentors, Doug Trummel, Robert, and you, David. Not last but least.
We started with David Fisher. Yeah.
I know. I'm just kidding. And then Teresa, and then our Lifestyles Realty team. That keeps changing. I mean, it's changing a little bit. David Walls, and there are others, but David has been financing every deal that we've started so far, except for the last one.
Okay,
And
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So just the last thing I want to say, and I want our audience to know, as a part of Lifestyles Unlimited, as part of your education, you have people like Robert and myself to help you understand underwriting and are these the right properties to buy. Teresa Harrell is great. She runs operations. So once we acquire properties, she's there to help our members in terms of staffing, in terms of marketing, what's our leasing objectives. Are we making sure that we're doing the right things in terms of overall operations? We have a whole large vendor list. You saw that earlier today. One of them is Dave Walls with Old Capital, and that's how you found some of your financing is through them. So it's really robust. There's a lot to offer. It just doesn't stop with a mentor. There's a deeper dive with a lot of people that can help our members every step of the way through every activity.
And folks, just so you know, Dave Walls, he's a Kiwi. Don't hold that against him, but it's the fact that he works for Old Capital. It's just one of our vendors, not a Lifestyles, company. This is a separate company. But just between San Antonio markets and the Dallas markets, David Wall's company lent us, our members in those two areas alone, over $2 billion worth of loans. So it's huge, the amount of properties we acquired, so you guys know a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely want to talk about, I mean, at least thank each and every fantastic passive investor partner that we have on all our different projects.
Yeah.
And I want to, I guess, I just want to be, that I want to mention when she was a part of our lifestyles management team, Renee Maines was one of the ones that really helped us in the purchase process as a realtor. So I didn't mention her because now she's not working with lifestyles, but I still think she was fantastic. And our passive investor partners, I cannot say enough about them. Without them, I mean, we wouldn't have
The property.
any properties. And then I value our property management employee teams. They are the most important team for me as far as the operations go. Without them, I mean, the property would not be anything. They're the ones who make the properties run, and they're the ones who implement what our processes are and what our goals are.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Thank
you guys ready to take some questions? You got to say yes.
Yes, of course.
Okay. So the members are going to ask some questions through Danielle, and you guys can answer them.
Got some really,
Sure.
let me go ahead and I was kind of funneling through some of them earlier. So Michelle asked one more time if we could kind of go through what were the distribution amounts on these properties. So I think what she's asking is what was the actual return?
It varies. Some were 18%, 20%, 15%. Just looking as if you invest in a bond, guys. If it said 18%, you made 18% every year. So if you put 100K, you made 18,000 a year. If it said 28%, you made 28,000 a year on 100,000. If you put in 10,000, take off 1 0. It's all relative. But not only were there the returns, the quarterly distributions, if they did a refi or a sale, that's where they made that 200 or 300%. So you put 100K, it turned into 300K. I hope that explains. That's the quick way of me saying that.
Let's see. So the next question I have, Gavin asked, was the Pine Point apartment occupied beforehand, before you acquired it? And what do you do with those tenants or residents?
Okay, so well, when we took over, the apartments was occupied 100%. Guess what? Guess why? The apartment was occupied 100% because the
I
rent.
know. There was a big fire in Bastrop.
That is true. That was a side note. But the rents were way below the, as you saw in our presentation, the NOI, the rents, the income was increasing a lot, in the following years, because what we did was, as soon as we took over, we started increasing the rents to market or close to market, because we didn't have any we had competition, but we owned the other apartment complex that was class B, C, and then all the others were either A. Most of the two other apartment complexes were class A.
And besides, it was managed by, I mean, it was owned by a California company, and the management here did not do anything. They just wanted it 100% occupied and kept very low rents. So that helped us a lot to kind of bring it up to the market.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So I've got another question from Kevin, and Kevin asks, are there qualifications for becoming a passive investor in your deal?
Okay.
Let me answer that question. Is when you join Lifestyles Unlimited, we have what we call a robust education and training. There are multiple classes that myself, our operations team will help assign you to go through. There's also what we call a passive certification. So there's a multitude of classes, 30, 40 classes that you'll take tests on, will help educate you, and you will become passive certified. We'll walk you through that step. You'll learn more about that as you come to an orientation once you become a member. We'll provide you all that information. We'll educate you.
Okay, next question I have is from Jim, and he said, is all of that 375% total return on investment on that deal tax-free?
Okay, I'm going to, first of all, no, it's not, because the 375% is subject to capital gains taxes. That's all I can tell you. I don't know, you have to talk to your CPA about that. But yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Well, a lot of it has to do with, was there accelerated depreciation over the first 4 years? Were there cost segregations done? I'm making an assumption here that over those 4 years, there was depreciation taken and probably no taxes that were paid. And it all goes through a calculation once the property is sold, and there will be capital gains taxes, but it will be based on how the depreciation occurred over the first 4 years.
And just so folks, let me take it one step further. There's multiple strategies that can be taken to avoid taxes legally. So when they sell, capital gains rate, what is it, 15 or 23? Thank you, Obama, when we make more than 450,000. But even that is way lower rate than what you're paying on your earned income. Not only that, there's that 1031 I told you about. They could have went from one property to another and paid no taxes. Remember, defer, defer, defer. Every deal's different and everybody's situation's unique. You got to talk to your accountant, but at the same time, it can all be tax-free. You might have other deals with, depreciation could write off against that as well. So it's a little complicated. We can't answer in 2 sentences tonight. Come to my seminar this week and I'll break it down even more for you, okay?
So the next question that I have is from John, and he said, great returns on that last property. Can you explain why the property value went down in 4 years when the NOI went up?
What was the question? What happened to the property value in the 4th year?
Maybe misunderstanding, but he's thinking that the property value went down and the NOI went up.
No.
Slide. So are we talking about this slide here? Okay. Because they're saying year 3, you have your property value 6.4, and then year 4, you wrote it 6.3.
Well, so there's a good explanation. When we refinanced, our expenses went up, our taxes went up, and also our insurance went up. So
he's
those are
giving you real
three
numbers.
components.
He had a little bit higher expense that year, so he's putting the real numbers in there.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he borrowed more money, which means his debt service was a little higher, but keep in mind, he returned $1 million to the investors.
Yeah.
This was the purchase price.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. So now I'm just kind of going through some questions here.
See if you get 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to go through. I've got some questions that I'm going to hold for you, David, till the end. Gavin had.
It's a question about membership and stuff. Don't ask Pradeep. Pradeep will say he'll just tell you not to eat at Chacho's.
Oh. Gavin had a follow-up question, and he said, are the tenants still there in the units when they're being fixed up?
What we do normally is when the tenants are there, we don't fix the units up. We only fix the units up at what I call when the tenants leave and we have to turn the unit. So no. Generally, if we do fix the unit up, what we would do is we would give the tenant we would improve the inside of the unit if the tenant re-signs the lease at a higher rate. We might give them new appliances. We might give them, maybe new carpet or shampoo their carpet, things like that. But generally, we upgrade the units when the tenants leave and before the new tenants arrive.
And we call them residents. They're not tenants.
Oh,
Words
yes.
matter.
Okay, the residents.
You know, Pradeep, really quick, I want to share a funny story with everybody that you told me years ago. I don't know if you remember saying this story, but you were so brainwashed by your job when you worked at Dell that after you quit, you found yourself in the Dell parking lot once, correct?
Oh, yeah.
You see how funny that is in life where he's so used to driving to work every day. And he said, why am I here one day? Didn't you do that?
Yes, the story is that we were traveling. I mean, the realtor who sold us the lifestyle realtor who helped us buy that property, and I were going to the property after eating lunch, and the property is very close to where I used to work. So, my instinct just drove me to the parking lot of my work instead of going to the property.
I just think that's funny, but I can just see myself doing that. You're so used to going to Dell, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, one more, Danielle.
Well, the questions have kind of slowed down, so I think we did.
Okay. Well, Pradeep and Mystery, I thank you so much for giving back and sharing. And Doug, thanks for your experience as well. You inspired a lot of people, and I appreciate you guys giving back and showing people what you've accomplished. It's pretty awesome. Thank you so much.
What a wonderful story. I mean, all your properties, the rate of returns, the amount of money that you've given back and helped your passive investors is fantastic. So I as well say thank you and for all you've done, your give back.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
See you soon.